Here's the brief. News from the world over this week. Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah died at the age of 90. His death was announced on Saudi state TV, and the stage appears to be set for a complex transition of power. Abdullah's half-brother, Prince Salman, will be his successor. Now, Salman himself is 79 years old and appears to be in poor health, possibly suffering from dementia. We'll continue to watch this story. His comments have circled the globe and replicated like, well, rabbits. During an in-flight press conference en route to Rome, Pope Francis addressed a question about overpopulation, poverty, and the Church's position on artificial contraception. As part of his answer, reaffirming Church opposition to artificial birth control, the Holy Father stressed responsible parenthood, underscoring that some think, quote, to be good Catholics, they must be like rabbits, end quote. He went on to offer an example of irresponsible parenting, a woman whom he admonished for being pregnant again after having 7 C-sections. He said to her, "Do you want to leave 7 orphans? That is to tempt God." On Wednesday, during his general audience in Rome, the Pope tried to reframe those comments. He said he found in the Philippines much consolation and hope seeing so many large families who welcome each child as a gift of God. And they realize that every child is a blessing. He also rejected the notion that overpopulation is a cause of poverty. More about this later in the show. On his return flight from the Philippines, the Pope also confirmed his travel plans for his U.S. visit. In September, he'll be stopping in Philadelphia, New York, and right here in Washington, D.C. California is apparently out, he said, due to time constraints. A South American trip is also in the works this year for Ecuador, Bolivia, and Paraguay. Pope Francis wrapped up his Philippine visit on Sunday, celebrating Mass for a record crowd of 6 million faithful in attendance. And there is fallout from the latest issue of Charle Hebdo. It's hit Niger and Christians there. This past weekend, Muslim protesters killed at least 10 people and set fire to 45 church structures after the release of the French satirical magazine's latest cover featuring the Prophet Muhammad. Muslim teaching forbids any depiction or image of Muhammad or God. Pope Francis on Wednesday offered his prayers for the victims in Niger. He again decried the waging of war in the name of God and prayed that religious sentiment would never give rise to violence, oppression, and destruction. Researchers in Denmark have discovered a link between the birth control pill and cancer. According to a study published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, women who suffer from a specific type of brain cancer are almost twice as likely to have taken hormonal contraceptives on a regular basis, whether via the pill, the patch, or other methods. The risk also appears to increase with the longevity of use. The study is preliminary. Doctors say the correlation warrants further research. 2 days of high-level talks between Cuba and the United States concluded in Havana on Thursday as the nations move to normalize relations. Migration remains a sticking point. The Castro regime objects to American policy allowing Cuban nationals to apply for residency should they reach U.S. shores. Cubans intercepted in the Florida Straits by the Coast Guard are returned to Cuba. Even though the communist-ruled nation forbids emigration off the island, as many as 45,000 Cubans end up in the United States annually. During a State of the Union address, the president urged Congress to end the 50-year trade embargo against Cuba and offered a nod to Pope Francis, who's credited with jump-starting the diplomatic effort.
As His Holiness Pope Francis has said, diplomacy is the work of small steps. These small steps have added up to new hope for the future in Cuba.
And a mixed bag at the High Court in 2 religious freedom cases. A unanimous Supreme Court ruled Tuesday that a Muslim prison inmate in Arkansas can grow a short beard for religious purposes. Also at the High Court, they declined to hear an appeal of a ruling that would force a Catholic priest to disclose what was discussed during a confession or face prison. Last May, the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled that if a penitent waives the right to confidentiality, then there is no privileged seal of confession. The case involved an adult man who purportedly molested a girl. The man has since died, but the parents of the girl said she had mentioned the man's actions during confession. They allege that the priest advised her not to report the incident. Louisiana law requires mandatory reporting of sexual assaults of minors. The Diocese of Baton Rouge objected to at the time, saying the court ruling was a clear and unfettered violation of the Establishment Clause.